I just watched your entire speech at Westchester. Thank you so much for the stories, particularly about PTSD. I think now I've just realized that I have PTSD. I guess I've always just assumed that only military vets can have it, but I finally see that this is not true. Ever since my divorce in 2007, I've always wondered what was wrong with me. When you said that, quote, alcohol will fuck you up, it finally clicked. If you don't mind, I'd like to share my story. By the way, this is something I always point out when I remember to, when speaking about PTSD, that veterans certainly do not have a monopoly on it. Lots of things other than combat are traumatizing and can cause unhealthy subconscious cycles of thought that are self-destructive. My kids were 1, 3, 5, and 7 when their mother and I separated in February 2007. They were 2, 4, 6, and 8 by the time the divorce was finalized in October of 2007. I went into business for myself in 2004, doing what I still do now, which is service Caterpillar engines on drilling rigs. Before that, I worked for someone else and was always broke. I finally started making some money. I was doing really well at the time of my divorce, had 3 employees, great business, etc. Maybe that's why your wife divorced you. She saw an opportunity. Not going to read into that, but certainly an argument here for choosing your mates carefully, and especially for libertarian men and women who, want to find someone who shares their intellectual and emotional grounding. Seeking, talking about psychology as it relates to these issues is very important, because you need someone, if you want to raise a family in this world where the government can step in cases like this and just really destroy families, you need someone who's emotionally, psychologically, and in a sense, spiritually healthy before just settling down and having kids. Not to cast aspersions as to this individual's judgment. In my divorce, I lost everything. I was crushed. I lost my nuclear family. I watched my kids cry and suffer. I was ordered by the state to pay $2,625 a month in child support, another $2,000 a month in alimony for 12 years. Yes, alimony exists in the state of Texas. Plus, ordered to purchase health insurance for my kids, which I hadn't done in the past because it was cheaper to simply pay cash in advance. You see how the Family Protective Services sort of provide another mechanism for the state to bully you into compliance with so much bullshit? On the surface, I had healed myself, so I thought. I remarried in August 2008. Shortly thereafter, my ex sued me for full custody, which took the last $15,000 I had left from my dwindled business. Other bad personal things happened in between. I sold everything just to keep joint custody of my kids, which I still have to this day. I've had CPS, Child Protective Services, called on me several times. Those incompetent fuckers missed their appointment with me twice. I had taken off of work just to be there for their home inspection of my house. I had to call the caseworker's boss's boss and demand they show up, and I asked the question, do you incompetent people even realize the irony of this visit? Y'all were called to make sure I wasn't abusing my own kids, and I'm the one making sure you get here at my house for your state-mandated home inspection of my home. At the end of 2009, when I began to wake up, or at the end of 2009 is when I began to wake up, I am constantly forced to deal with the Attorney General of Texas, another incompetent government agency. They can never keep my account straight. In 2010, I actually received 2 letters for them in the same day. One letter, which stated in all caps, told me that I was behind on my child support for over $10,000 and was about to be thrown in a cage. The other letter, ready for this, was a refund check for $1,500 for overpayment. It's a long story on how I got 10 grand in back child support, and I won't bore you, but at a rate of $2,625 a month, it doesn't take long. I was legally defined as a deadbeat dad, when in reality, I am a top-notch daddy. Anyway, I've been a heavy beer drinker every day ever since. Not whiskey, just beer. I work hard and pay my bills and taxes like a good little slave. I passed out last night around 9 and woke up this morning about 2 a.m. I just got done watching your video at Westchester, and I want to thank you for your stories and your brutal honesty. I've not been in combat or any such thing, but I now believe I suffer from PTSD after watching my kids suffer. I've cried over them more times than I care to admit. I think I'll quit drinking alcohol. I've always drank to numb the pain of watching my kids ripped from my arms. I now have to watch them grow up with their new stepdad. I get them only on the 2nd and 4th weekends and 2 weeks in the summer. I've never been late to pick them up. I've never missed a pickup. To this very day, they still bust out of their mother's door and run into my arms. Their mother even called the cops on me one time for being 13 minutes late to drop them off because of traffic. Anyway, sorry for being so long-winded. Just wanted to let you know how much I appreciate your stories and what you do, just trying to deal with this the best I know how. Well, sir, Thank you so much for having the courage to share that story. I really appreciate it, and it's certainly encouraging to me when telling the truth is often so difficult and comes with certain challenges for myself, to hear that it's encouraging you or others to face up to their own truths. And while you might not have seen combat, obviously your experiences have certainly affected your own mental health, and I'm glad that my stories have given you the courage to face up to that and do what you can to address it. And I don't know if I'd call you an alcoholic, but if you're using alcohol in a way that is destructive in your life, I wish you the best of luck in addressing that and overcoming your situation.